All right, hello teachers. I'd like to thank you today for joining me in this session. I mean, when I see teachers um, craving for personal development, it's something that gives me so much joy. It's something that I'm so happy about, and so that you have joined me on this channel today, I'm most excited, and I'm very persuaded that after now, some of the things that you will learn, if you can put them to use, it will cause you a great shift. So thank you once again for joining me. So very quickly, I'll be sharing with you what I believe will cause you a mind shift. In my few years of experience in the teaching profession, I often wondered why certain teachers behave in a particular way. I often wonder the mindset of teachers. I often wonder why they behave the way they behave. And as I began to dig deep, I came to an understanding that one thing is lacking, and that's what I'll be addressing this today. I'll be addressing what I call understanding. You see, there is a limitation on how far you can go if you lack the understanding of who you are, where you are going to, and even how to get there. So very quickly, I'll just share my screen right now, and I'll be sharing with you the topic that I've titled Understanding the Bedrock of a Limitless Teacher. Understanding the bedrock of a limitless teacher. And let me just quickly begin by sharing this video with you. I made this video a few years ago. Okay. All right, just take a few minutes and let's watch this video together. Within the center of in the beginning, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was. A teacher. The concept of programming was initiated at creation. Everything created responds to a code, and at the center of God's masterpiece is a teacher with the ability to encode and decode. The world without teachers is a world of darkness. Teachers came into being because the world needs light. What makes us teachers isn't because of what we teach. We are teachers because of our capacity to illuminate the mind, inspire change, and transform generations, one child per time. Our world is a better place because we are teachers. My name is Oluwase Anifowose, and I am a teacher. All right, so I wish I wish I could ask you a few questions about what you learned in that video, but we won't be able to do that right now. So just take a pen and write a few things that you learned from the video, and then I'll continue. Or you can message me. After now, I'll drop my details, and you can send me an email or message me on any of my social media platforms to let me know what you gained from that video. So look at these pictures. And I also want you to think about something very peculiar about these people. Now look at all of them. Look at these people on the screen right now. You will discover that, number one, they are people that are and were very influential. These people changed the narrative. These people made a great impact during their time. These are world leaders. These are people that when you mention their name, it rings a bell. All right. But one particular thing I also want you to know about these people is the fact that all of them have classroom experiences. All of them, all of these people went through the classroom. And so when I stumbled on this information, I was wondering, so there must be something very, very critical about the teaching profession that we're taking lightly. If all of these people, they are world leaders, they are political change agents, right? And these people have classroom experiences. So what is it? What is the challenge with today's teacher that thinks he or she is only limited to the classroom? All right. And that's what I'll be exploring I'll be exploring today, that the teacher has so much more. The teacher has the capacity to do so much more. Let me make it specific. You have the capacity to do so much more. Your job, I've said this before, that if you think that your job is to make students pass exam, then you are placing a huge limitation on yourself. And I've said this a number of times. As a teacher, your job is not just to make students pass exam. That's the least of what you can do as a teacher. In the video, it says that you're not just a teacher because you teach in the classroom, you're a teacher because you have the capacity to illuminate the mind, inspire change, and transform generations. So one of the things that you have the capacity to do as a teacher is to begin to transform generations. In your classroom at the future, the students in your classroom are the future. And so what it means is that you are a custodian of the future. And so these people understood that reality, and they moved beyond just being in the classroom to becoming world leaders. And you can do that as well. You can do that. And so how can you do that? Now look at this. This is one of my, in most of my presentations, in most of the places I've spoken, I always make reference to this man, Nelson Mandela. And I make reference particularly to this quote. He said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Few days ago, I was in a live program where I was talking about education and the fact that the Nigeria, as it were, does not understand the meaning of education. We often misunderstand the concept of education. We limit education to the classroom. All right, and that's why we are handling education the way it is, right? We fail to understand that education is not the same as schooling, right? Now, it said education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. In other words, if you need to change the world, if you need to develop any nation, if you need to develop any society, the instrument of that change is education. The weapon of that change is education. And mind you, I've decided to capitalize weapon for a reason. Now look at this. Imagine you have a gun fully loaded with, you have a gun that is loaded. As loaded as that weapon is, if there is nobody to pull the trigger, that weapon will be dormant for years. If you have, regardless of the weapon that you have, if you don't know how to use it, it is as good as not having it. Okay, so the potency of the weapon is not in the weapon itself. The potency of the weapon is the capacity of the ability to use. So use defines weaponry. Okay, if you have a weapon and you don't know how to use it, then you're as good as somebody without the weapon. There is this quote that says that somebody that can read and is not reading, he's as good as somebody that cannot read. They are the same. Okay, so somebody that has a weapon and can't use it, and the person that doesn't have a weapon, they're on the same platform. Okay, and so if education is a weapon, it means that there is the need for that weapon to be used. That is, that how to use that weapon has to be learned. And the person to use that weapon are the teachers. The teachers are the people that have the capacity to pull the trigger of that weapon. All right? That without a teacher, education as a weapon remains impotent. Okay? So as a nation, as a teacher, you must understand that your role in national development is limitless. Your role in national development, your role in societal change is critical. Is very, very crucial. And that's why this guy, I appreciate this guy. Coincidentally, he was the VC of the school I attended. He said the teacher is the most important factor in the translation of educational policies, ideologies, philosophies into actions and realities. Okay, so the teacher is the most important. So when we talk of education, when we talk of how critical education is, what we're invariably saying is that we're talking about how critical the teacher is. We're talking about how significant you are as a teacher. And you must understand, he said the role of teachers in national development is very strategic and crucial. Your role is strategic. Your role is crucial. And you must come to that understanding. You must not play to the gallery and think that you're not important. You must not allow anybody to make you feel as if you're not important. You are indeed the most important. One Minister of State, Festus Keyamo, a few days ago, said something. He was talking about the ASU strike, and then after a few minutes of discourse, and then he looked at his time and told the interviewer that, please, can we move on to more critical issues? There is no time. And I said, can you imagine? And by the time he then moved to the more critical issues, he started to talk about infrastructures. Look at the mindset of our people. Okay, as far as it's concerned, the critical issues are infrastructures. I'm Yoruba, and there is a proverb in Yoruba that says that in other words, a child that you have not educated will sell the house that you have built. You cannot be focusing on infrastructure at the expense of education. Okay, and I do not want to waste time. I have a lot to share with you, so I'll quickly go into my next one. But I need you to understand that when we are talking about how critical education is, we're talking about how critical the teacher is, because the teacher is the one that will translate those ideologies. In my book, I discussed 4 doors to educational change. Curriculum is one of it. Government intervention is one of it. The teacher is one of it. The teacher, see, the curriculum is a piece of paper. Without the teacher being able to translate those things into actions and realities. So you are very important. So my question is, why are teachers looking at themselves like this? Why are teachers behaving like this? Why don't the teachers understand this factor? Sight, perception, and interpretation. One of my friends had a presentation and was talking about this sight and perception. You see, that you need to understand, see, there is a difference between sight, what you see, and the passion. I said that what you see, when you see something, it creates some sort of perception. And from that perception, you're able to come up with some sort of interpretation. But moving away from that, when you see something and something boils inside of you, when you see a problem and something boils inside of you, what it means is that you are given the passion, which is the fear for you to make a change. So I'm talking about passion, I'm talking about sight, passion, and creativity. The difference is sight passion and creativity. There is something I see that you don't see. And when I see what you don't see and I get angry, it means that I'm passionate about that thing. And that passion is the fuel that I need to create what I need to make that change. Okay, so when you see something that others have not seen, it means that you have the passion and, of course, the enabling and the enablement to make that change happen. Okay, and so because of time, I'll just leave some of this. We often misunderstand. We don't understand the concept of reality. One of my favorite movie is Matrix, and it's because it talks about reality and perception. Okay, it said that what is real? How do you define what is real? Okay, if reality is what you can, if reality is defined by your senses, but by your sense organs, then you're probably at a loss. Okay, there is more to life than what we can see. There is more to life than our sense organs. So very quickly, I want to share a bit about reality, because I like you to come to this understanding. Now, so please quickly watch this video for a few minutes. This movie, this clip, this snippet is from Matrix. Just watch it, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I hope you're following what I'm saying.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now.
All right, interesting. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. And I say that there is no reality. I went for a presentation, I think months ago, and I said that there is no reality. And then we got into some sort of argument. And they were like, oh, are you serious? Are you telling me now that this building that we're in now does not exist? I mean, it was quite an interesting conversation. But let's not deviate from what we're saying. And I'll get back to I'll get to where I'm going to pretty soon. Now, in the video, it says there is no spoon. That it is not the spoon that bends. All right. So it means, see, I hope you remember how I started with the pictures of some people, and I'm going to go back to that now. Now, I say that there is indeed no reality. An anonymous scholar defines reality as that part of imagination we all agreed on. All right, reality is what we agreed that is reality. Now, let me quickly, please let me take you back to this previous slide. Now, if you look at these images, now it's supposed to be an exercise where you pronounce the word, not the color. All right. For instance, this is green, but so you pronounce green, not blue. You pronounce the color. Now, as you go in the exercise, you will realize that you see the color, not the word. Your eyes, you have the tendency to pronounce the color instead of pronouncing the word. Now, how do we, now let me even ask, how did we know that this is green, this is yellow, this is pink, this is gray, this is brown? How? Because they told us this is pink, and so we've from as a child, we've learned to know that this is black, this is yellow. Okay, and so I would have loved to go into some sort of other theories about the origin of words. You know, how do we pronounce, how do we call words words? You know, why do we pronounce these words like this? All right, but we don't have time for that. But let's go back to what I was talking about. And that is the fact that there is possibly no reality. Reality is a socially agreed upon paradigm. All right, reality is what both of us, you know, as you're listening to me now, we agreed that that color is going to be called yellow. And then it is called yellow. My name is Oluwaseyi Anifuwoshe. And if you see me tomorrow, you're going to call me Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifuwoshe, because I have told you that that's my name. If I have told you my name is John, tomorrow, if you see me, you will call me John. Okay, so that's reality is as what we agree upon. When I was given birth to, my parents named me Oluwaseyi. And so I grew up, I started to realize that when anytime they want to talk to me, they call me a particular name. So I began to understand that anytime they say Oluwaseyi, it means they are talking to me. All right. So I began to live in that consciousness. And it came to a time that I eventually agreed that my name is Oluwaseyi. Okay. If they had named me another, I would have also responded in that direction. Okay. And so reality is a mental construct. It is what we agreed on. You know, how do we accept that something should be done in a particular way? Okay, how do we believe that something should be said in a particular way? It is because some people sat down and agreed that this is how things should be done, and things are done that way from that time. And that's what we see as reality. Okay, I don't want us to go into the theoretical, philosophical frameworks of, okay, so this building now, does it mean that it doesn't exist? If I tell you that the building doesn't exist, you might be shocked. But I don't want us to go into all of those arguments. Let's look at the philosophical angle of reality so that you will get my point. So reality, as it were, is a social construct. It's a mental construct. It is some sort of acculturation. It's some sort of indoctrination. Okay, they make you to believe that this is what it is. This is how it should be done, and you begin to behave in that way. And before you know, it becomes a part of you. Okay, so there is no reality except the one contained within you. And I need you to please follow me very well, because I'm going somewhere with this my philosophy. I'm going somewhere with this will cause you a mind shift as a teacher, because you have so much more inside of you as a teacher. You have so much more that you can do as a teacher. Okay, and so let's look at another concept: society. And this I lifted from my book. Now, who influences who? Who influences who? Is it the society that influences individuals, or individuals influence the society? All right. And so please look at this chart. Now, as individuals, we have opinions, we have ideologies, we have mindset, and we have experiences. Okay, as an individual, I am sharing with you my opinion. I'm sharing with you my perspective about how I think something should be done. And if I'm able to convince you, if I am able to convince you and you accept that ideology, okay? So what I've done is I have sold me into you. And if you buy my product, you will end up also selling that product to someone else. And before you know it, there is multiplicity, okay? And so somebody just wakes up, okay, today now, everybody is singing Buga song. Today, everybody is dancing in a particular way because one person sat down and created it and sold it, and people began to do it. And so when it gets into the buying of the society then becomes to influence individuals that were not originally part of the concept development. Do you understand my point right now? So it's a cycle. It's a cycle of influence where somebody develops an idea, sells it to other people, and as people begin to do that, others now begin to copy them. All right. So there is a particular way of dressing that somebody just wakes up one morning and decides to dress in a particular way. And people see that and begin to copy that. So in essence, what we call society is individuality in many people. Okay, individuality. In other words, one person does one thing and sells it to one person, the other person sells it to one person, and it multiplies. So it is the concept of multiplicity of ideas, of concepts, of behaviors. Okay, so the concept of society depends largely on your power of influence, how you're able to influence people. So you should know that as a teacher, you have the capacity to influence people. But don't let me rush. Okay, so look at this. Look at this picture and tell me what you think is missing. Do you think this madman lacks knowledge, understanding, or wisdom? Okay, I like you to, you have your, see, and please do not accept all of the things I'm saying right now. I'm only trying to challenge you. I'm only trying to make you think in a particular way. Okay, so you might not agree with some of the things I'm sharing right now, and if you, of course, don't agree, which I expect, I would like you to share your thoughts with me via my correspondence, via my social media platform, or my email. Okay, but looking at this picture, in my opinion, one thing that is missing in a madman is understanding. The madman knows, there is knowledge. The madman knows some of the things he can see. The madman, why don't we see many madmen on the highway? When the madman is hungry, the madman knows he needs to eat. The madman lacks understanding of who he is, lacks understanding of his environment, lacks understanding of what he should do or what he should not do. Okay, so understanding, life is about understanding. Life is about intentionality. Okay, so your understanding. No, so let me break it down, and I'm almost there right now. Understanding, intentionality, and conventionality are three major concepts. Now, look, remember the picture of the madman I showed to you. Now, a madman dresses the way he dresses because he lacks understanding. Okay, so you, because you are not mad, because your mind is intact, you will not dress the way a madman dresses because you are conscious of yourself. You are conscious of your environment. You are conscious of how people will see you or what people will say about you. That's why you dress the way you do. Okay? And so that understanding gives birth to intentionality. So if you need to go out, you dress in a particular way. As I was going to come for this presentation, I because I know I'll be speaking to, I didn't wear what I would literally wear when I'm at home. Okay, so understanding, intentionality is a function of understanding. What you do, how you do things, is a function of the understanding that you have about that thing. The way you speak is a function of the understanding. So intentionality gives understanding, is the mother of intentionality. So you are intentional about what you say. And because you are intentional about that thing, it becomes a convention. It becomes a usual thing. It becomes what people begin to copy. Okay? Your life is about it's about intentionality. So you must begin to be intentional about how you live your life as a teacher. You don't let people call you the name that you're not, regardless of how loud you sound. If you call me a name that is not mine, I will not answer you. I will not. If you like, carry the whole speaker of this word and begin to shout a name, if it is not my name, I will answer you. Okay? So you must begin to live in the understanding of who you are. Okay? And this is what I call the superiority of understanding. What I see very critically missing in the teacher of today is understanding. I mean, I love to share this. I came back many years ago from North Cyprus when I went for my PhD, and I said, okay, so this is what I'm doing going forward. I am not going back to the classroom. I've had my teaching experiences. I've been in the classroom for a number of years. So I said, yes, I want to be in the school, but no longer in the classroom as the teacher. I want to step up a little bit for in my career. So the least I would do is become a school principal. So I applied to this school, and we had an interview, we spoke, and then, so the woman told me, the owner of the school told me, so, and this I shared in my book, so if you can get a copy of my book, and you'll get details. So we had an interview for a number of days, and so the woman told me, oh yeah, the right now, the position of the school principal is not exactly available, so we're gonna employ you as acting school principal. Okay, and so that time, I think it was early in the year, so I can't remember the month of the year right now, but it wasn't the beginning of the session. So she told me, we'll bring you in as acting school principal. At the same time, you will be teaching English language. Okay, so at the beginning of the new session, you will then actively take your role as a school principal. I said, oh yeah, no problem. It wasn't a problem for me. I mean, up to date, I still cannot leave the classroom, all right? I will still teach in the classroom. I will still teach English because that's where I am. So it wasn't a problem for me to be a school principal and at the same time teaching. And so so I got the job, and number one, my letter of employment does not state that I was employed as a school principal or acting school principal. Number two, when I resumed the work the following Monday, I was taken round. I was introduced to the teacher as the new English teacher. All right. Number three, I was taken to the classroom. So I was wondering, what happened? Am I in the wrong place? What's happening here right now? Okay, what happened? So I engaged the school owner. I said, these are not the terms of our engagement. So what happened? That I was supposed to be employed as a school principal. Long story short, I resigned in 3 days or so, because I can't start an engagement with deceit. Okay. Now, this is my story is that at the time that I resigned, I needed the job badly. I needed the job. I mean, I was out of job for some months. I just came back, so I'd not worked, and I had needs at home. I'm married with kids. So I needed to take care of my kids, right? So I needed the job terribly, but I wasn't ready to compromise because I needed a job. And that's the problem I see with the teachers today, that because of their financial level, that they are taking rubbish from people. And you cannot do that. If you know who you are, you will understand. And I'll get there. There are other things, there are other factors, there are other competence factor, confidence factors, resourcefulness factors. I will get into that. But if you know who you are, if you know what you carry, if you know what you can do, you will not let anybody pull you down or put you down. So I resigned because I know that I am not limited. I will get another job, and I did get. So you should understand that, I was able to do that because of the understanding of who I am. So our act can be no wiser than our thoughts. Our thoughts can be no wiser than our understanding. So the way you behave is an indication of your understanding. So when I see the way that you behave, when I see the things you do, I know the level, I can tell the level of your understanding as an individual or as a teacher. Okay, so I am saying this to you so that you can rise up to the occasion, so that you can begin to treat yourself kingly, or you can begin to take care of yourself as a king or as a queen. So I started by talking about the fact that the teacher is significant in national development, and you need to understand that. Okay, so these are the 4 things that you need to understand as a teacher. And I have called it the anatomy of the teacher. I will just run through that, and I'll round off. If you have further questions, if you need more details of this, you can consult my book. Okay, so you need to understand that there are 4 critical things that you must understand as a teacher. 4 critical things. Number 1, you need to understand yourself. Understand yourself. Understand your student. Understand the subject that you teach, and understand your society. And I'm going to break it down for you very quickly. Okay, so many teachers don't understand themselves. I hope you're not one. Okay, you need to understand that you are different. Understand that you are not everybody. You can't think the same way, you can't behave the same way, you can't talk the same way. Understand your difference. Your difference is what makes you significant. And so you must begin to voice your difference. You must begin to, I rose up today to say that no, teachers cannot be treated this way. The things I do today came up from the fact that I know, remember when I was talking about side, passion, and creativity. I saw that I said I despise the way teachers despise themselves. And I rose up to the task to say, there must be something I can do about this. You can't be using the profession I love as the last resort. You can't be. It shouldn't be. The teacher profession produces every other profession. So it must be, I'm looking for the word now. It must be placed in high esteem. And so you as a teacher must place yourself in high esteem. You must understand that you are different, and you must promote that difference. All right? Understand your destiny is not the same. Understand that your design, you see, when you understand your difference, it will give birth to a design that will be different. You will create in language, there's what we call stylistics. Okay? Stylistics in writing is, when I was in a classroom, my teachers will, my students will always tell me, how did you know? For instance, if I give my students assignment and then somebody helped them to write the essay, for instance, I would tell them that this essay, you did not write it. Because, as individuals, we have some idiosyncratic behaviors. There are some things that are peculiar to us. That is in the way that I have a peculiarity in the way I speak. I have a peculiarity in the way I write. So if someone else writes for me, the person will not use certain things. And so your difference will give birth to a design that will be different from every other person. Your difference would determine the direction you go, okay? And so if you understand yourself, you will understand your difference, your destiny, your design, your direction. Understand the need for personal development. You see, today we are forcing teachers to develop themselves. I mean, the more you force people to do things, if you're wasting your time, if people cannot see why they should do something, there's this common proverb that says that you can force a horse to the river bank, but you can't force that horse to drink water. You can force teachers to go for training, but you can't force them to use the things that they have learned. Okay, if you have been forced to take up this course that you're taking right now, I'm sure you're probably waiting for me to just finish so that you can go into other things, probably. But if you are here because you have an understanding that you need to develop, I'm sure you will take what I'm saying seriously. Okay, so personal development is a function of understanding. People who understand where they are going to are not forced to develop themselves. People who understand that there is a future ahead of them, they will not be forced to develop themselves. And they will be determined to go to any length. They will see your understanding of yourself is a function of understanding diversity. Diversity that you see, we are product of our culture. Okay, in a way, I'm currently going through working on a research, interpretation of meaning, influence of culture on interpretation of meaning. Now, there's this place. Forgive me, I'm a Christian, and so the Bible says that madness is in the heart of a child, the rod of discipline. Now, when I was in the secondary school, funny enough, the day my principal discovered this Bible verse, I mean, the flogging was massive. Because in the Yoruba culture, flogging is part of discipline. Flogging is part of discipline. But in other climes, in fact, flogging is not in their vocabulary. Okay? And so you must understand that our diversity is a blessing. Okay, so you must understand yourself and understand that you don't think you see, culture is the eyes through which we see the world. Okay, the eyes through which we see our world. So you don't expect your student to see the way you see it. You don't expect your other colleagues to see the world the way you see it. Okay, so you need to understand these 7 factors. I move to the next one. Understand your student. Okay, understand that relationship is critical to teaching. Okay, the truth is, no teaching can take place without relationship. Your students need to have a relationship with you before they can have a relationship with what you're bringing, with the information that you're bringing. Okay, so as a teacher, you are the mediator between the students and the information. You are the mediator between the subject and the student. If they don't accept your person, they won't accept your product. It's that simple. If your person is not accepted, your product cannot be sellable. So you must have a sellable personality. You must have a personality that can warm up to the students, because once they accept you, they will accept the product you're bringing. So understand relationship, understand emotions, understand that students are coming with baggages. You see, children are going through a lot right now. Marriages are breaking, so many things are happening. There are issues. So even you as a teacher, you need to understand your emotions. Okay? Understand that you are an emotional being, which makes your students emotional as well. So emotional intelligence is critical to your success as a teacher, because you're not just managing your students' emotions, you're managing your emotions, you're managing your students' emotions, you're managing your boss's emotions, you're managing your colleagues' emotions, a whole lot of emotions running everywhere. So you need to have intelligence, of emotions. But most critical, you must understand the emotions of your students. Understand that they go through a lot. And so if a student is not listening, you must know that it is not about what you're teaching. There are other factors. So if you deal with those factors, they will listen to you. Understand environment. Understand that as a teacher, you are the CEO of your classroom. And so you must create an enabling environment. You must create an environment that will want to make your students want to be with you. I say this. If your students do not mention your name at home, I mean, I don't think you're doing enough. Okay? You see, you must create an environment in your class where your students have accepted you. Okay? You create an enabling environment. Make your students, make your class a home for your students. Understand expression and enthusiasm. So you must constantly express how you feel about your students positively. Okay, not in a derogatory manner, but express how you feel. You know, say words, use positive words. You know, use words that will encourage the students. You know, I don't have time to talk about the power of words. Okay, but when you have time, just look at this video by this Dr. Emoto. All right, Dr. Emoto, who carried out a research about the power of words with water. All right, they crystallized water. They crystallized water and they began to speak to that water. So they took a picture of that water after they crystallized it, and then they now took a picture of the water after words have been pronounced. The formation of those crystals were different. You can Google it. You go to YouTube and Google Dr. Emoto. Or there is even rice experiment, right? Rice experiment where you have 3 bottles of rice, same rice, cooked rice. It's something I've done myself. Cook rice, like the rice you eat, cook it, put it in 3 bottles, cover it. Every day, in 1 bottle, say, I love you. So pick the bottle. This is what I tried myself. I saw it on YouTube and I tried it. Pick it in the morning, pick one and say, I love you. You are the best. Say good things to that rice. Say very wonderful things. I love you. You are the best. You are sweet. Pick another one. Say negative things. I hate you. I despise you. You are nonsense. You are useless. Now, the third one, don't say anything. At the end of the experiment, see what you will get. See the outcome. It is not as if the rice will not get spoiled. The ones that will get spoiled first are the ones that you say negative words to. Okay, so this tells you about the power of words, about the power of enthusiasm, of positive interest, positive words. So as a teacher, understand that what builds up children are positives and the encouragement you give to them. You can do it, okay? Understand external pressure. Understand that students go through pressure, okay? Pressure to succeed, pressure, intimidation from their classmates, and you are the teacher. You need to understand so that you can know how to deal with a lot of those. Understand experience and exposure, and understand end and evaluation. Okay, understand that there is an end to what you're teaching, and then see you need to see the end from the beginning. You need to see the end from the beginning. When you understand the end from the beginning, that helps you to design your curriculum. That helps you to design what you're doing properly. Okay, so these are the things that you must understand as a teacher. So number 1, understand yourself. Number 2, understand your student. Number 3, understand your subject. Now, the reason why many teachers are being used or are being treated the way they are treated is because they lack competence. They don't know what they are teaching. Okay, they don't understand their subject. Okay, they don't understand their subject. Listen, I have at least 10 years of teaching experience in the classroom, teaching English language. I determine what happened in my classroom. I determine what happened with my subject. In fact, early in my career, the director of studies or my academics director will always tell me, no, the English department, we know you. Whatever your own, when they are giving rules about how something should be done, they will single out my department because they know that we will design our own template. Our own template is different from other people's template, other teachers' template, other departments' template. All right. We tell them this is how we want things to be done. I was one of the first people that changed how English language should be written, internet exam should be written in the schools I taught. All right. While other subjects were using 40 minutes to write their English, I told them no, they must write their English in WAEC standard or by WAEC standard. So they don't write English 40 minutes and they write paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 as it is written in WAEC. I gave the standards. Do you understand? And it's because I know what I'm doing. Okay, I set the pace. So you must understand your subject. If you do not, you see, I've said this before. I said, confidence, lack of competence is a function of, no, lack of confidence is a function of lack of competence. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. If you have competence, it will promote your confidence. But a lot of people that are not confident, it's because they don't have competence, so they can't defend it. But if you are competent, it will be a confidence booster for you. Even when it doesn't mean that, so don't get me wrong. I'm saying that most of the time, lack of competence is a function of lack of confidence. If you are competent, your confidence level will be top notch. Okay, so as a teacher, don't let anybody rubbish you. What do you need to do? Understand your subject. Don't just know the subject, understand it. Okay, and these are the things that you need to do to understand it. Reading and research. Research. Don't be limited to what you have learned many years ago. This is how you have been teaching. This is how it should be done. No, there are other ways you can do it. There are better ways you can do it. What are other teachers doing that you can learn? How can you do it better? Okay, read, research. Okay, teachers are always complaining there's no time. Please create that time to study, create that time to research. Okay, so when you research, you become resourceful. Okay, and when you are resourceful, you get results. And when you get results, you get rewarded. It's simple. Do you understand? Your reading breeds research. Your reading research breeds resourcefulness. Your resourcefulness gives you results. Your result gives you reward. So you must be resourceful as a teacher, and you must be reflective. Okay, after the class, think. How can I? There's this question that we always ask our students: what have you learned today? Okay, so what have you learned today as a teacher? Okay, what did you do that you can correct? What practices can you work on? Reflect on your practices as a teacher and rehearse. Okay, there is the 10,000 hour rule. Okay, now I read this in the book The Outliers. Okay, if you can get access to the book. If you need the book, I can send you the soft copy. Okay, I have the soft. If you need it, send me an email and I'll send you the soft copy. The Outliers, it's one of the books that you need to read. It's one of the books that transformed me. Okay, it's a material that you need to read. Okay, so there was a research. I won't be able to give you the details right now because I'm rounding off. So there's a research that was carried out that, there are three, I don't have the time, but it's about the 10,000 hour rules. Okay, that for you to be a professional in what you do, you must have practiced that thing for 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. As a teacher, what practice do you, what level, what amount of practice do you put into what you do? You see, teachers take teaching for granted because they have been teaching. They just believe there's no need for them to rehearse. They just go into the classroom and start to teach. And then they become very, you're stranded in the middle of the lesson. Okay, so you must put in more hours of research into what you do. And the research, I don't mean that because I don't mean experience that you have been teaching, so you already know how it is done. No, that's not what I'm saying. So you must rehearse, do it in a different way. And then number 5, relevance. Learn to relate your subject to real life. Okay, see, we're preparing children. See, the classroom, the school is not where we prepare children for life. The school is life itself. Okay, it is not a place where you prepare students for life. It is life. Okay, so you must bring up scenarios. You must relate your teaching to things that are relatable. And that's why I speak so much about contextualizing our curriculum, okay? Making it what students can relate with, but it's in your hands as a teacher to be able to relate what you're teaching to what the students understand, okay? And of course, reinforcement, okay? Students do well with reinforcement, okay? The mind works, okay? Please, I advise you, pick a copy of my book. I was able to detail all of these things. And of course, the last one, retainership. Okay, you must become an expert in your field such that you become a go-to person. That's what I mean by the retainership, such that when they're looking for an expert in one area, your name will be the first point of call. Okay, so you must become an expert. Okay, you must become a go-to person. And finally, understand your society. Understand your society. You see, the society is where you function. If you don't understand your society, you will not be able to you won't be able to deliver. Okay, so in understanding your society, understand paradigm shift. Understand that, see, as a teacher, you are not one of those. You should not allow anybody to take you for granted. Okay, so change your mind, understand people, understand places, understand that people are product of places. Okay, understand politics and policies. You see, politics, or let me say, politicians are those who make policies. So politics has an influence on policies. So policies are what control our lives, our behaviors in certain environments. So how things are done, how things should be done, they are policies. Okay, so those policies are made by those in politics. So as a teacher, you must understand politics. Okay, you must understand policies that govern your area. What educational policies are you aware of? What educational policies have you familiarized yourself with? How can you change those policies? Okay, so teachers must be actively engaged in politics. And you don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a partisan. You just by voting, just by doing your civic responsibilities, so understand politics, understand partnerships. You can't do it alone. You need to, one critical thing that one of my senior colleagues in this profession told me that I'll never forget, and I'll mention her name, Rhoda Odigo. Sometimes in 2021 or so, there was something I did and I failed. And she was encouraging me that, oh, Sheyi, you're doing well. You're fantastic. I love what you do. However, this is one thing that you need to do. Outsource your weakness. until today, I'll never forget. I will never forget to always outsource my weaknesses. Leverage on your strengths. Leverage, I wrote this many years ago. Strengthen your strengths and weaken your weaknesses. Okay? And one of the ways you can do that is by initiating partnerships. Reach out to people that know something that you don't know. Okay? Let them come into your field to handle certain things that you can't do. Okay? And by that, we all gain better things. Okay? The things I can't do, I bring people that can do it. What I can do and others can do, they bring me in. And there is no competition. Okay? No, the next one, understand principalities and powers. And you see, understand that there are, you see, in life, there are people of influence and there are people of affluence. There are people of influence and there are people of affluence. Understand those people. In your school, there are people that have taken certain roles that without them, some things cannot be done. In fact, interestingly, understand that in your class, there are decision makers among your students. I hope you know that. In your classroom, there are students that they might not say anything, but they are the people, once you are able to get hold of the decision makers in your classroom among your students, you have won the class. You have. So in understanding principalities and powers, I'm looking at it from two ways. Number one, from the spiritual angle, because life is spiritual. Okay, life is spiritual, and so we must address it from the spiritual point of view. Nothing happens by chance. There are no coincidences in life, and so you must take hold of the spiritual point of life. Okay, that's one angle. The other one angle is the fact that you understand people that are decision makers, people that are of influence, people that are of affluence. And when you get hold of those people, life becomes easier for you. Finally, understand processes and procedures. Understand that, there are procedures, there are processes that you must follow before things happen. And when you know all of these things, you'll be fine. As a round-off, see, values and institution are not handed over to us by God or created by nature. They are invented by us. And if they don't serve our needs, we have the power to eliminate them. As a teacher, you have the power, you have the capacity to change the narrative for yourself. You have what it takes to make the change happen. Nobody's going to do that for you. If education is going to change in your society, it depends on you. Remember what I talked about when I showed you the pictures of those change makers. These were people that created new realities for themselves. These were people that created new societies for themselves. These were people that created a new path for themselves. I love this quote by Waldo Ralph Emerson. He says that, what's that quote again? That that you create a new path. I mean, this thing just skipped right now. But it's talking about creating a new path for yourself. Okay? You have the responsibility to create a new path for yourself. You have the responsibility to create the reality that you want to see for yourself. You can be limitless. You can become today someone that we're looking forward to, someone that we're looking up to, and nobody's going to do that for you. You do that for yourself. You don't need anybody's permission to be limitless. You don't need anybody's permission to be the best of yourself. You just have to wake up, rise up to the occasion, and begin to do the needful. Okay? And I'm sure as you begin to do all of these things, trust me, I mean, you'll be shocked at how the level of growth that will come to you. So I'm challenging you to take up a new path. I'm challenging you to begin to think differently. I'm challenging you to take up the responsibility to understand yourself, understand the things I've talked about, and trust me. Please share with me your testimonies. Share with me your experiences. My email address is anifowoshe@gmail. I don't have it here, right? I don't have it here right now. But I think you have it. You have it shortly. Okay. Send me an email. Message me on social media at Oluwaseyiani on Twitter, at Oluwaseyi_Anifowoshe on Instagram, and let's have conversations. Thank you very much for this time, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right. Thank you. Stay safe.